Welcome. We'll let this get going and we will get started here. Give it about 1 minute. Doing a lot better of just getting started, diving right in and rolling with it and watching the replay. So if you were watching the replay, feel free to just skip like maybe a minute or two in and let me get my notes ready and we are going to dive right in. So if you're here, say what's up in the chat, have your questions ready to the end and I'll hit you at the end. Kyle, what's up, dude? It'd be weird if you weren't first. All right, we're going to give it to 1 more minute or to the top of the minute and we're going to dive right in. Stoked for this one. Just polish it up. Looking a little extra proper today, more than normal. I would never wear this normally on camera. This is too fancy attire for me typically, but I did just get home from my grandma's funeral a little bit ago. So this is a necessary escape for me, before I dip out tomorrow and travel, but got a lot of work to squeeze in within a little bit of a time frame today. So let's say what's up real quick. Mariana, what's going on? Kyle, hello, Mariana. Looking forward to seeing you tonight on our call. Elizabeth, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And Mark, good to see you, brother. All right, let's dive into this one. This one's all about taking control of your story. And some pieces and elements I'm going to be ripping and using for my talk here in a couple weeks at Crop Conference. I'm really, really excited about this, but I feel like this is a powerful narrative. Sure. Will it be a little cheesy? Yeah, I take pride in a little bit of cheesiness. I also love me some bad dad jokes, so they all go hand in hand. But just the topic overall, I think, is what someone needs to hear and what I constantly need to hear and what I'm constantly experimenting and experiencing myself. So take control of your story. So if you don't know me, my name is Coach Scotty.D.Russell. In today's video, we're writing your own story on your own terms, aka taking control of the narrative. We got to write our own story. And if you don't take control, you don't write your own story, someone else is going to fill out the chapters for you. Corny, but true. This is true. When I've let go of writing my own story, I somehow cater to what everybody else wants or expects and let them influence the way my life goes. No more. And as I break some of this down and share some of my experiences, I'll be sure to bake in personal examples and scenarios. That way you can parallel how you can approach this, not only in your creative pursuits, but just your life in general. And the goal with this, simple. I want you to leave feeling just hella empowered to just take ownership of whatever happens to you. Take ownership and accountability of chasing what you want without catering to someone else's expectations. That's what this is about today. So if you're feeling stuck, you're just feeling like you keep plateauing, or you're just feeling overwhelmed in general, hopefully this one's going to hit home. So before I dive in, if you find this video helpful and you like this video, then please like the video as well as consider subscribing to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. All right, diving in. Me, over the years, I've learned the hard way. And I would really say, especially the last 2 years, I've learned 3 things to be really true. 3 things that you can always do. You can always reinvent yourself and become the person you want to be. You can always change the game you're playing. You don't have to constantly stay in the same game and pigeonhole yourself in this. You can always hit reset. You can pivot and you can start over fresh. It may sound like common sense, but this isn't so common. We are so emotionally tied into what we do. We feel like often we have to be a lot of things to a lot of people, or a lot of people rely on us, or a lot of people expect things of us. So we live a specific life that may not always be within our control. But overall, I want you to leave today just knowing that the moves you make shouldn't be dictated by expectations of others. This is your life. This is your story. Sure, I'm a side hustle coach. I am all about helping people build something with their creativity outside of the traditional beliefs and expectations that we are fed growing up. But to me, overall, it's like, I want to be a better person. I want to become the best version of myself in this lifetime. I want to crush it with my creativity. I want to crush it with my fitness. I want to crush it with my mindset. I want to crush it as a dad, a husband, in my relationships. I want to crush it in my bank account, in my investment game. I just want to crush it all around. And in order to do that, I need to take control of this narrative. And I spent too much of my time, especially like through my 20s, all the way into my 20s until I started like understanding, wow, like I don't have to live life that way. That's a limiting belief I've always believed about myself. This is the only thing I used to draw, but no, I can draw this. I can flex other styles. I don't have to just live in these lanes that I thought were my lane. I could only stay. I'm all about finding your lane and staying in it, but also understanding you can build a new lane anytime you want. So let me give you some examples of my life and how I've put this into practice, especially like most recently as well. So I grew up believing that, sorry, I've been all clogged up. It's been a very emotional day. Yeah. So sorry if I'm clearing my throat a lot. Actually, I'm not going to apologize. I always grew up feeling like I was a huge loser. I was a massive failure because I grew up getting picked on. I grew up getting bullied. I lost in basically every sport I played in all the way through college. I had some type of form of bully all the way through college as well. Blew my back out playing football. So all these narratives just continually rang true, especially where I grew up to, Waterloo, Iowa. You get a bad rap from where I'm from. People look down on you. You make national news in a negative way, definitely not a good way. So I always just felt like where I grew up from, my family didn't have money. I'm just a loser. I'm a failure. I'm not destined to win. I believed that narrative for so long. And then when I blew my back up playing football and couldn't get a job after college, I just was like, wow, this is it. This is my life. This depressing funk, which caused me to be suicidal, self-sabotage. I got tired of it. I don't even know what truly was the catalyst. I think it was just like finally one opportunity paid off, like all this effort and hard work I've been putting in. It finally amounted to one opportunity, even if it wasn't the best opportunity. It was like, holy crap. I took control of my situation. And this is because of the initiative and actions that I took, constantly creating, even though I felt like no one was listening, no one was paying attention. Then it finally led to an opportunity. And that was like a day I woke up like, holy crap, all that effort, all that stuff I was doing behind the scenes, all that time and effort and energy I was pouring into stuff. It may not have felt like in the moment something was happening. The results weren't immediately evident. The seeds that you plant you can't always reap the harvest of the seeds you just planted. But finally, one of those popped off for me. I was like, wow, what happens if I continue to take control? What happens if I continue to stop playing the victim and feeling sorry for myself? Things started happening for me. So I started waking up when I was in like my mid 20, I was around like 24, 25, 26 during this time. This was around 2014. And that's when I started Perspective Collective. That's when I started posting on Instagram religiously and all of a sudden gaining confidence and clarity in my work. And the more I continued to show up, the answers, the action that I took started to reveal more answers. Here's a silly one too. Limiting beliefs. I told myself, you can reinvent yourself anytime you choose to. Growing up, I always had like really bad hair. I had zero style. I was a Walmart baby. We didn't come from money, and my dad used to cut my hair, literally would sit a bowl on my head and I'd get a bowl cut. And yeah, like my haircuts growing up were horrible. And so my brother shaved my head my senior year or my sophomore year of high school. Like within a week, I shaved my head, I got contacts in, and I got rid of my braces. I came into my sophomore year as the new kid. Nobody knew who I was. I was like, holy crap, this is the power of reinventing yourself. I got picked on and bullied so much, but now all of a sudden girls are talking to me and I had more confidence then. I was like, wow, I could truly reinvent myself. But then for like the next, decade or so, I started shaving my head or like fading my hair. I was like, man, I could never have hair again. I could never have hair. There's no way. Too many colics. And finally one day I was like 30 years old, just had my first kid, and I had like dad weight, like a dad bod going on, was overweight. I was like, something needs to change here. I am feeling like some rusty old stale ass bread right now. I'm 30. I need to shake things up. So I started growing my hair out. I went to a barber, started hitting the gym, and like hitting the gym hard. And things changed. I went into my first gym program, got rid of the dad bod, and now I like have a great relationship with my barber. I reinvented the way I looked and felt about myself. When I turned 30, I was like, man, I can hit refresh. I can change my look up anytime I want. I don't care what people think anymore. I'm not out here trying to make moves to impress anyone. I don't care. I'm happily married. I have kiddos. Like, I'm fine. I love my life and I love who I am. It took me a long time to love me, but that's just a silly thing. Like I had this limiting belief I could never grow my hair out. I had a limiting belief I was always a loser and like no one was going to like me and my art sucked for so long. I believed these limiting beliefs and stories I would tell myself. And it's like, no, I am the author of my story. I can change that shit anytime I want to. Another example, you can hit reset, you can pivot, you can start fresh. Often, like my son is 3 years old. It's not the terrible twos, it's the terrible threes. And he's not terrible, man. That kid is just, he has a big drive, lots of willpower, and a very bold personality. And he's stubborn like me and has a lot of fire to him like me and his mom. And we have some really hard times sometimes. We butt heads. He's a strong-willed kid. And some mornings are tough. Like the last 2 mornings, we got into some fights. It sucks. But it's up to me. When we link back up or when I send him off, I have a choice to not like hold a grudge against my 3-year-old. You'd be surprised how a 3-year-old can get under your skin and really push your buttons. They're smart. But we have a chance to always hit reset, and we always have a chance to start fresh. And it could like make me cry right now, thinking of how frustrating I could get with my kids and how impatient I can be. And then like being at my grandma's funeral and then seeing my parents and thinking about my life with my parents and all the shit I put them through. You know, we always have a chance to hit reset and start fresh. So at the end of the day, or like me and my son, we're always back to being best friends, or like a fight with my wife, whatever. You always have a chance to hit reset. You always have a chance to reinvent yourself. You always have a chance to pivot when the game that you're playing. Fast forward, like, man, it's been an emotional day and emotional last week. Another example, like the last 2 years for me have just been a season of self-discovery, reinventing myself, feeling like, damn, I'm not the artist I used to be, feel like called to be a coach. And now like, this is the avenue I do full time. So I feel like I have to be all in, and the artist identity is dying, and people knew me for this, and now they're knowing me for this. And then I'm losing this audience. And like, what do I do? What kind of content do I create? In a season of self-discovery, do I just go all in on pay the bills because I have so much pressure to perform every day and kill the artist identity, even though I'm a coach for creatives? So I'm always in my head too. I'm always overthinking things. I'm a critical overthinker. I'm a critical thinker and a critical overthinker. And so I've just been figuring out, like, am I the artist and designer? The person that got me here. What got you here won't always get you there. So like, does this artist identity need to die? Or am I the coach? Why the hell can't I be both? Why can't I be both? Why can't I be, Perspective Collective is the old identity to me. I need to reinvent myself. A lot of people didn't understand. Like, this is what we knew you for in the Perspective podcast. That's what everybody knew you for. But I needed to change. I needed to grow. I needed to separate myself from that artist identity because I hid behind the name Perspective Collective. That was an abstract identity because I was scared what people thought about my work. I was scared if you didn't like my work, you didn't need to know who I was behind the name Perspective Collective. I hid behind a logo. That's why I needed to branch away from it. I needed to hit reset. I needed to pivot. I needed to start fresh. And so why the hell can't I just be Coach Scotty.D.Russell, who is the artist, the designer, who knows web design, the entrepreneur, the dad, cat dad, and human dad of 2 awesome little kiddos, Emma and Scotty the third, my little pizza rolls. And why can't I do all of this under the name Coach Scotty.D.Russell? Because that's who I am. That is me. And I coach side hustlers who are creatives. That is the majority of people I talk to. And it's still heavy about the amount of perspective. It may not be Perspective Collective. It may not be Perspective Podcast, but perspective is still so heavy in what I'm doing. So now it's Side Hustlers Perspective Podcast, and Side Hustlers Collective is the family. So there's still the ties to the old identity, but I'm starting fresh and I'm becoming the next version of myself. And I think I got so in my head because Instagram always was working. So did I have to tailor my identity to Instagram? Absolutely not. But that's the stuff I've been navigating. Like, I'm making more money than ever, but yet I'm like sad and more empty than ever because I hadn't been drawing. And then all of a sudden I started making time to draw for me again, like last September and October. And all of a sudden the NFT space came about, mixing my love for crypto and art and NFTs and Web3. And now I'm coaching creatives in this space. I'm like, holy shit. Once I started like getting back to my roots and realized how much I was missing when I'm not creating, I was empty by just like losing sight of what got me here. It wasn't paying the bills, so I can't pursue it. Like, no, all the stuff I preach to my students, stop chasing the money, really dive in and pour yourself into your work and connect with your work, and opportunities will happen. And I poured myself back into my work, making time to connect and create. And all of a sudden I'm building community around it. And now my work is going for a decent amount of money in terms of my favorite crypto, but I wasn't forcing. I just poured myself back into it. What made me happy. And now I'm a better coach. And, I'm figuring out this new identity, and it's not catered to Instagram. I know that sounds hilarious, but yeah. And at the end of the day, I still get to be a dad. That's the dopest occupation out of all of it. And I get to show my kiddos like, hey, you can pivot. You can pivot anytime you want to. You can be whatever you want to be. Like sure, your dad would love you to love Pokemon and love you to play sports and love for you both to be artists. But at the same time, I'm going to nurture all that, but I'm also going to empower you to do and become your own version of yourself, and I will support you just like my parents supported me. And I think the last thing too, that I've realized, like, I could change the game I'm playing. I can reinvent myself. I can hit reset, was with the podcast. The podcast has just been feeling off, I would say, the last 2 years as I'm trying to rediscover who my new identity is. You could flip the script anytime you want. You can change the game anytime you want. You don't have to be this. You don't have to be that. You want to be this, you can be that. It's all on you. Control the narrative. So like for me, I should have been taking a break from the podcast a hot minute ago. I had so many people tell me I shouldn't change the name of the podcast, but in my gut, it felt right. Logic told me not to change it, but my gut told me to change it. Logic told me not to change from Perspective Collective to Coach Scotty.D.Russell. And so many other people said that. But my gut, I went with my gut. Go with your gut. Go with your gut. That's where the next narrative of your story, the chapter you want to write, is with your gut, your heart, your soul, your intuition, your third eye, not just the mind. That's going to keep you safe. And if I would have kept it playing it safe, I wouldn't have took the leap to full-time Coach Scotty.D.Russell. I wouldn't have changed the podcast name. I wouldn't have changed my business name. I wouldn't have gone all in on like NFT and crypto and my investments over there. If I would have played it safe, I'd still be at a day job I hated, not being able to provide for my family, leaving paycheck to paycheck. So go with your gut, invest big in yourself. And I should have broke away from the podcast a while ago. I've been playing a game with the podcast because I felt like that was the expectations of what I thought people expected of me. If I took a break from the podcast, what are people going to think? Oh man, Scotty's the one talking about showing up and be consistent. And now he's not showing up and being consistent. I'm showing up and being consistent in a new path right now in a new season because I feel called to do something else and do something bigger. And I feel like video is important. That's what scares me. So I need to go all in. The podcast is a distraction. I feel like I have something to say. I don't want to be the guy who just interviews people all the time. I feel like I have shit to say right now that's important. And I don't care if there's one person watching or zero people watching, or zero watching on the replay. I don't care if my YouTube grows at all this year. I'm showing up to build something that's important to me and making it a non-negotiable, because this is a new season that I'm reinventing myself. So I broke away from the subconscious expectations I felt others had of me to pursue something that I wanted to chase. And maybe you're sitting there like, man, what are my parents going to think if I go all in? Or what is my partner going to think if I like pursue this new route? Or what are my best friends going to tell me or try to bring me down? If those are what your best friends are doing, I'm sorry, those are shitty best friends. And I've had those kind of best friends, and yeah, they aren't best friends anymore. My circle gets smaller and smaller, but it goes deeper and deeper. So a couple more things and we'll kind of wrap this up, and then I will get back into everybody in the chat right now. This is dope. This has been an emotional one today. So having kiddos has made me an emotional dude. But let's talk about you now. So let's talk about you and your creative pursuits through the lens of your side hustle, your full-time grind. Like I see someone in Atomic Child in here. I know he does his thing full-time and he's still here. Jay Workins in here. Okay. I will get back to the chat here in a second. But with you and your side hustle and how this can relate in parallel to you. So especially some of my students. So imagine with your side hustle, your creative pursuits, or your day job or relationships, whatever. Imagine you have a crappy day. You fell off. You broke the habits. You started eating crappy. You went against your schedule. If you're counting your macros, like I have a trainer. I'm not perfect with my wellness nutrition trainer. I'm not perfect. 85% of the time I'm on. But imagine like you had a really bad week with your creative pursuits. You missed all your personal deadlines. You didn't follow through on yourself. You didn't hold yourself accountable for a day or for a week. You slipped back into bad habits. Guess what? You always have a chance to hit reset and start fresh. And something I'm big on is never taking back-to-back L's. if I have a completely bad week where I shit the bed, literally, not figuratively, I haven't done that in a long time. In a long time. My son, though, however, just had 2 little accidents this last weekend, but busting him out on YouTube, I'll send him that link 10 years from now. But never take back-to-back L's. If I have a really bad day of meal prepping and like sticking to my diet and plan and cutting season that I'm in right now, you better believe if I slip up Saturday, I'm not going to slip up Sunday. I'm going to be dialed in. If I have a really cruddy week, I'm sick and not feeling myself and let it go of a couple deadlines and miss some of my work, better believe I'm still focusing on the essentials. And the next week I'm coming back. I am going to bounce back on point that week. It's not about being perfect. It's just about pursuing progress, not pursuing perfection. So what about you? Like you missed a deadline for yourself. My blog post was going to go out today at 12 p.m. Get it out tomorrow. Your normal posting on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but you have some personal things and stuff, like hit it the next day. Get your mind right first. Get your body, soul, mind right, and then show back up. But never take 2 L's. So change is okay. Change is good. If you've been doing one thing for a while and you found success, but you feel called to a different path, pivot. Do a slow pivot. Like me, I feel like eventually in 1 to 2 to 3 years, I'm going to be full-time Web3. Right now we live in Web2 world. You can go look that up if you don't understand what I'm talking about. But Web3 is like the new realm of where we're going to, where people like Facebook and Google don't own everything. You own your own information. But to me, I see myself going full-time crypto, Web3, NFT, coaching in that world within the next 1 to 3 years. But it's a slow pivot for me now. It's a side hustle for me. It's only 20% of my bandwidth. 50% is all coaching and my normal coaching routine. 30% of my bandwidth is this YouTube content creation experiment. And then 20% is my side hustle. And eventually like that 20% may become 30%. So I'm doing a slow pivot to the path I really want to pursue that I know is the future, and bringing people along with me along the way while still doing my thing over here that is working, that I enjoy. And I'm just constantly figuring out where can I provide the most value, creating the work that lights me up the most, that impacts the people I truly give a shit about. That's my definition of success, while also making time to create and be a dad, be a killer husband, and making time for like my friends and my family and my loved ones. That's dope to me, and building wealth. It's not all about money, but man, I like having that peace of mind because I busted my ass, got out of debt, and building a future that will take care of my kids' kids, and their kids is their kids, and they can pass down all my Bitcoin that I saved up. So, but if you're past or your current chapters you're living right now just suck major butt cheeks, guess what? Write the next new chapter. You're the author. This is your life. This isn't someone else's life. Nobody's going through the same things that you're experiencing, the adversity, the highs, the lows. This is your life. Fed up with how shit's going on in your life? Write the next new chapter. Decide. It's about choice and perspective. The trajectory of your story is within your control. Focus on what you can control. And that's been a big thing with my students in this first 3 weeks of our spring program. It's all about taking control, mindset, self-management, time management, prioritization, focus, productivity, execution, all the internal work. So again, this boils down to a matter of choice and perspective. I think that's the game of life, is choice and perspective. How you view the world, how you see things, how you make decisions, soak up on this angle, formulate your own opinion, be a critical thinker as well as a critical overthinker like I am. But you have the choice. So choose to focus on something else if you prefer to, or choose to stay in your own lane and just own it and be the best at what you can be, that version of you here. You have a choice. So choose to be known for something different. I was always thought I wanted to be known as a big time freelancer. And I was like, no, actually, that's not what sets my soul on fire. You got to do a lot of things to realize what you don't like. I read something recently or heard something recently. It's like people think finding success in life is all about the addition, adding something new to your plate and like continually growing and adding more and adding more. But really life is about subtraction. The more you do and realize you don't like it, you subtract these things to really find who you are at the end of the day. So you got to try a bunch of things, but then we got to simplify. And I was like, wow, that's really powerful. Finding life is all about finding yourself as well, while bringing people along for the ride, while subtracting things, doing a lot of things. Progress is progress. But at the end of the day, it's more about trimming things back to find who you are, what you really enjoy, the people you like to be around. It's a matter of simplification. Life is, in my eyes, of what I'm learning. I'm like, wow, I thought it was always addition, but no, it's really about subtraction. So you can always choose to be known, to be someone else, to do something else. You can decide what you want to be known for, and then you can change it. Doesn't matter. Kobe Bryant could have been, I want to be known as a great basketball player, and then he was going to be known as a great storyteller. RIP Kobe. You can choose what you want to be known for and pivot and hit reset. And then you can choose to let go of limiting beliefs, choice and perspective. I'm not going to believe this story, limiting belief I once told myself. Here's the glass ceiling. I'm busting through that shit. I'm going to be this person from now on. I'm going to show up and do X, Y, and Z because I'm that type of person who says I'm going to do something, and I do it. I don't try. I don't hope. I don't wish. I am. I will. I did. I can. That positive charged language that we talked about, I think 2 weeks ago. So go watch the replay for that. But in conclusion, to land the plane, let's park the car. Let's put the trains back off the track. I don't know. Let's just, in conclusion, okay? At the end of the day, you are a constant work in progress. I am a constant work in progress. We're always improving, always growing, always progressing, and always subtracting as well. I feel you have to do a lot of things to try out different paths to figure out what is and isn't working. What do you identify with? What you don't identify with? This is who I am. This is actually who I'm not. But in order to figure that out, you got to do things. You got to move. You got to take action. You cannot care what people think. What is it? Lions don't care about the opinions of sheep. I don't care about the opinions of sheep. If you are not in the game, you're not in the arena, you're not throwing yourself into the trenches, you're not experiencing this life, and you're just on the outskirts being a critic, your opinion does not faze me. I don't care. That one bad review anymore is not going to ruin my day like it used to. I don't care anymore. I care about the people that vibe to what I'm doing, and I care, more importantly, what I think about myself. We're always going to feel called to do something. Yet again, logic often holds us back. What's your heart? What's your gut? What's your soul? What's your intuition? What are you excited about that also you're a little bit afraid about? That's the next chapter of your story. Pursue that shit. I feel life is all about continually becoming the next version of yourself instead of being pigeonholed into one label or limiting belief. The next version of yourself is that next story, the next chapter. Own it, write it, become it. And then if you want to do the next chapter, do the next chapter. I'm all about niching down, but niching down isn't a life sentence. Don't stunt your potential. I'm all about stunting, but don't stunt your potential and leave growth on the table because you decided not to control your story. You'd rather passively exist and be afraid of what someone's going to think. Oh, I'm going to offend someone if I post this piece of work. I'm going to offend someone if I say shit 5 times in a YouTube video. I don't care. I really don't care anymore. And if that's what offends you, then I'm just not your cup of tea. And you can't be everyone's cup of tea, but you could be at least one person's go-to favorite slice of pizza. That's dope. So let's wrap this up. If you liked the video, please like the video. That really helps, like the algorithms, like, oh, hey, Scotty's video doesn't suck. So just give it a simple thumbs up. Subscribe for more weekly fuel for your mind and grind. If you like these little seeds being planted in your dome, seeds for growth, positive seeds for change in your life. Now let's jump into some questions. Hit me up with a question. I'll stay on for like another 10 minutes. I got to prep for a coaching call tonight. I still have to pack. I got a plane. I got to be on the road by like 4:30 a.m. tomorrow. I got student exercises to get to. I got a student call to prepare for. Mary, I see you in the chat. I owe you a message over on Discord. I am just buried everywhere because all this life stuff comes first, and the dream is a non-negotiable, but the dream comes after my foundational focus of things when my priorities are straight. So yeah, if you got a question, I'll hang on for like the next 10 minutes. I appreciate you being here. Let's see. I'll say hi to anybody I missed. Can't have pizza without the cheese. Yes, Kyle. Mary says hello. Kevin, thank you. Scotty, thank you for showing the feelings, man. Real. Yeah. sometimes I kind of lose it. When I start thinking about my kids, oh my gosh, I'll break down every time talking about my kids. That's hard for me to hold it together. Yeah, my kids get me so emotional. Jay working, Jamal Collins in the house. I'll see you here tomorrow, man. I get into Creative South at I think noon. So I got a whole day. Yeah. Jimmy Bryan, I can never figure that out. Always hard to figure out. Am I a brand? Am I just a person, or am I both? Jimmy, I think you're both, man. You are Atomic Child, but you're Jimmy of Atomic Child that people know, like, and trust. The more you show yourself out there and sharing your little bits of motivational nuggets, to me, that gets people to know, like, and trust you. Sharing your story, sharing about how, if you haven't heard Jimmy on the podcast, gosh, I want to say it's episode 247, I believe. Crushed it with the artwork. Super talented designer and artist. But yeah, he didn't find success until he was in his 40s, and now his brand sells millions of dollars of his artwork all over the place. So he took control of his narrative of his story, and his story started later. He took control later. It's never too late. Larissa says, here's Jimmy. Let me throw himself here. All right, look at that cute little face, Jimmy. So stoked I get to kick it with you at Creative South and Crop Conference. Larissa, what's going on? She says, yes, thanks for reinventing yourself and becoming more visible on my timeline. I see so much more of you now, and I love your weekly sessions. Thank you. And you see it more because you engage. So the algorithm's like, hey, you don't think Scotty stuff sucks. Let's show you more of it. So thank you, Larissa. And also, I'm really glad to have you in the Discord too. And I really appreciate you being engaged in there. Kitty O'Neill says, yes, get it. Kyle says, percentage breakdown of the hustles puts things in perspective. Time for the next chapter. Yeah, I would say, I keep talking about this because it holds me accountable, but my foundational focus priorities in life are family, fitness, finances. Family is the biggest, but it's probably I would say 50, 30, 20 for that. Honestly, 50, maybe 50, 35, 15. And then for the creative dream, my non-negotiable, it's 50% coaching during the season, 30% the YouTube brand building, brand awareness, content creation, and then 20% side hustle, Web3, crypto, and NFTs. But yeah, that's, if I don't have those percentages, then I realize I'm not as committed, I'm not as dialed in, and then I too easily fall victim to distractions, things that I think are opportunities, but really the distractions. That's why I'm so focused on helping students dive deep and dial in their priorities. Because otherwise, if you're not showing up intent, you're just winging it. You're in hobbyist mode. And then we're wondering I'm not seeing any results, but you don't have any defined results or trajectory that you're pursuing. So what do results look like for you? Mary says, awesome session. Thanks for sharing. Yenny and Co. dropped a fire emoji. Thank you. Bro, since having a baby girl, I be crying every day. Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, dude. I just think about my kids and thinking about something happened to my kids. Man, I can put myself in a weird mindset. And then it just overwhelms me with gratitude. Wow, I had these two little beautiful creatures. The dopest art projects I ever collaborated on are my kids. Gosh, I could talk about them all day. I'm so fucking love being a dad. Elizabeth says, I think I was going to ask you yesterday on Instagram about how not to feel overwhelmed with all the things you feel you need to do when you're at the beginning for trying to build a side hustle. Simplify, simplify, simplify. Again, subtraction. My ongoing, every year, people talk about New Year's resolutions. I'm like, I don't want a resolution. I want a New Year's habit. I want habits in my life. And my habit each year is to do less but better. I still feel like I'm doing too much, but all the things I do feel like they align in the direction I want to go. And I need to delegate more. But I'm back at square one, developing new processes, new systems, new team. I don't have anybody around me since I'm not doing the podcast. So I'm building from scratch again, redeveloping process and systems. So if I was just getting started, I would keep the game so simple. One priority for a season. What is the one thing I'm focusing on this year? One thing. And then I would make sure, here's my foundational elements. Elizabeth, looks like you're married potentially with a baby kiddo. So family obviously is going to come first. Some people it's faith. Some people it's fitness. Some people it's whatever. But here's your core foundation. here's your priorities for your creativity. So here's my priorities for this season, or at least one priority for this season. Here's the one project I'm focused on this season. Here are the main tasks for the project. So it's here's my season, here's my priority, here's my project, and here are my tasks. And then it's like time management. Where do I have the biggest chunk of day each day to work on? So for maybe you as a mom, maybe it's at night for an hour. So you have 1 hour each day during the week to focus on the one big task each day that focuses on the one big project that you're working on for the one priority for the season that you're in. Power of one. That's how I would simplify it, you know? And sometimes if you're a busy mom, being a mom is the hardest occupation on this planet. Most respect. Every shout out to all the women that are moms out there. Your job is difficult. It is a very difficult job. And I'm even more full of respect to the ladies who like are super moms, still grind a day job, still do stuff at home, and yet still make time to focus on their creative pursuits and be selfish and make their dream a non-negotiable. That is so dope to me. Man, that is so powerful. But you can hit me up. Actually, if you're in the Discord, this would be a great question. Ask me questions in the Discord. Like I got a free link in the description of this, but that's where I'm going to be most active and pour my time into alumni students, current students, boot camp students, and just like free community chat there. Jen Nan, good to see you, Scotty. It's been a while. Jen, I've missed you. I've hosted like quarterly calls. You know, be a part of it. I got an alumni section in the Discord, so stay connected. You have my number. You can text me. Jay, I'm coming in on Thursday. Can't wait to see you. Yeah, text me, man. Let's link up. And Yenny and Kosa needed this, and Elizabeth, we'll just call this the last one. No questions today. That's fine. The message here today helps. Let's put that. The message here today helps me know that I'm making those steps regardless of feeling like I'm not doing enough fast enough. Comparison is truly the thief of joy. For real, like so much potential of mine was robbed over the years because I felt like I wasn't enough. I wasn't doing enough. Everyone's doing more than me. I'm not making as much noise and being seen as much. It is a slow and steady game of continually showing up and pouring yourself into your work. You never know when the seeds that you plant will harvest. So yes, focus on your own race at your own pace to your own unique destination or place. So keep your blinders up is what I'm trying to say. Here's your lane. Enjoy your lane. Have fun. And most of all, just enjoy being a mom. Mr. Marvin Nunez. Okay. There are some questions. Some stuff floated in late. Okay, here we go. Starving Marvin. Any tips for how to bounce back faster from an L or burnout? Sometimes I get stuck in these ruts for too long. What all are you doing this season? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Do you have a community you're tapped into? Or are you just like isolated in your head every day? How simple are you making the game right now? Are you biting too much that it's hard to chew? So Marvin, this is something you can text me to if that would be helpful. But then also self-care. How have you taken a break just to like get away without obsessing about it? Have you given yourself permission to be like, wow, I need to just step away from a second? Or is it like when you're stepping away, you're feeling guilty? Yeah. How often are you sharing that you're stuck with things? Who are you reaching out to? How often are you reaching out to? You know, hit me up. But when I'm feeling burnt out and overwhelmed, it's because I'm doing too much. My expectations are too high. I've spread myself too thin. I don't understand what my true priorities are for a season. I've said yes. I've committed to too many things that I shouldn't have been committing to, overlapping my schedule and stretching myself too thin and like losing track of what's important to me and losing sight of what was play. So what caused you to burn out? Did you take on too much? Did you say yes to too many things? Did you commit to something that you felt like you had to do based on someone else's expectations or a past belief of yourself that you choose to go? Like me with my podcast, I felt like I had to stay doing the podcast. Otherwise I was letting someone down and letting myself down, when really it's like, man, this isn't even fun right now. I need to go tap into play again. So have you played in a while? Like, have you created for yourself with no expectations for it to turn into anything? Tap back into play. That's what I would say. If you're feeling really burnt out, be like, what does play look like again to you? Go and create something that is just straight up play. You don't care what it turns into. Are you burnt out because you're trying to keep up by creating for Instagram and an algorithm? Or are you creating for yourself on your website? That's purposeful play. That's something that we're going to be talking about today in like the coaching program moving forward too. So it's a season of purposeful play that we're talking into next. Marvin, you can hit me up on the side anytime, brother. You know I got your back. Yenny and Co. I came in late, but definitely going to listen to this from the beginning. Perfect. Yeah, the replay will be up shortly right after this. Larissa, always liking the video. Show some love. Thank you. Mark says, I feel like the quality of my work has grown by leaps and bounds. However, I also feel like I've only embraced my niche for a short time now. What should I start reaching out to clients? I feel like when you feel like you've truly connected with your work, then I would say start reaching out to clients. But is that the goal? First off, what is the goal? What's the macro? Do I want to be the guy who creates work for other people as my primary source of income with my creative gift? Was that the goal? Or was it, I want to have people purchase my work without having creative briefs or anything? So like really dive deep. What's the end goal? Why do you want to work with clients? Is that the big picture vision? If I remember correctly, I don't remember that being part of the big picture vision. So if you do want to go full-time freelance in this style, potentially, then I would say once you really feel like you have your craft, you have your process down, you have your systems around what you're doing, next, who are like the top 3 people you would love to do work for? And then create some kind of campaigns around it, build pitch decks, build like portfolio specific to this style of work. And here's the clients I want to reach out to. And even send them print-based stuff. I don't know, like that was a killer conversation James Martin and I had last week about like attracting dream clients. So I got to fly through the rest of this. I got to get going. I got to catch up on some work, but let me just follow through. Disney movies and Pixar movies get me so emotional these days. Should Discord questions like that be dropped in community chat? Yeah, there's a feedback channel and community chat. So like, is this something you want feedback or help or a question about? And then tag me in it. Or if you feel like if it's more like a conversational piece, put it in community chat. Own your own race at your own pace. Yes. I do got to get going. Let's see. One more thing. Let me see this real quick. See if it's something I can answer. Or if it's something Justin needs you to follow up with me about. Let me get a quick drink. Currently struggling to find my creative pursuits in this point due to CPTSD. I wish to create my voice and individually that was suppressed as a kid. Do you have any pointers to share? Sorry, I was running out of words to add to the previous message. My apologies. No. Gosh, I wish I had more time to like bring you on to get more context. I don't want to feel like I'm prescribing. I can't say I know much about CPTSD. I just want to be super upfront about that. There's probably a lot of layers to peel back there for me to truly like dive deeper with you to understand who you are more, your backstory, things that have kind of happened in your life to where you're at today. But I'd say like first, what do you want to create? What interests you? What are you kind of like passionate about that you've suppressed? What seems fun? What seems exciting? What seems a little bit scary? Like say, oh my gosh, I really wish I could have an example or like get deeper. But first I would just say, have some fun and just explore it with zero pressure of it needing to be monetized and turned into anything or an opportunity to come for it. Like what I was saying to Marvin, like just connect with purposeful play. Like you're doing this for it's fun. Maybe you always like drawing as a kid and you like drawing freaking aliens. I don't know, like I did. I'm just speaking from what I did. But then I suppressed it because like who draws aliens? Aliens aren't real. People think aliens are dumb. Like there's no money in art. Like go and be a doctor or a dentist or go work at the John Deere factory like everybody else did. Let's say that was me. And now it's like, man, I see other people drawing, when I stop and when I'm scrolling on social media and I stop when I see people's artwork or I see a friend of mine always posting, I'm like, damn, that would be nice to do. That'd be fun. I really kind of envious, or I really think it's cool that they're doing that. Well, why not you? Why not just, if that's something you want to do, just, okay, I'm going to make a commitment. I'm going to get a sketchbook and I'm just going to draw a little bit each day. It doesn't have to be anything. I could reference something. It can just be for fun. I can just show it and post it too as well. And just let people know, like, I'm working on something. This is me. I'm having fun and I'm sharing it to hold myself accountable and to let people know, let people in along for the ride. Or it can be something private that you want for yourself. It all depends on your goals, what you're wanting out of it. Where do you envision this going? Where would you like it to go? And that's all questions I would dive deeper in and pepper with questions. But Justin, if you feel comfortable, join the Discord. And if you're looking for like creative family to bounce ideas and get around, to be inspired by and ask questions, the Discord link will be in the description. But in the meantime, thanks for being here and vibing to me in this emotional roller coaster and making time for me with my crazy schedule. And I hope to see you at Creative South. And then I will follow back up on next week's schedule. Be back on Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Time. And I'll be doing my Instagram lives at 12 p.m. on Tuesdays. So if you want to just like back and forth Q&A and workshop with me on the fly, the Instagram sessions. Otherwise, these live sessions will have more of a topic and a flow to it. So thank you. Replay will be available up shortly, and love you. Have a great day. And just know I really, really appreciate you and your presence being here. It means more to me than you ever would know. And just the fact that someone's here that I get to talk to gets my mind off of a lot of other things that I'm going through with my family. So appreciate y'all. Have a great day. And yes, keep in touch. All right. Be safe. Stay sane. Love you. Peace.